We are going to begin the evening with a video tribute to Marcy, and we'll ask Keith Vokes, who's busy schmoozing up the room, to make sure that and he's waving. I think we're going to start with that in 1 second. So, fill that time, and there she is.
Marcy Weston has been an iconic figure in the Central Michigan University Athletics Department since 1972. She's been a strong advocate for student athletes of both genders, persistently working on their behalf both internally at CMU and externally with the Association of Intercollegiate Athletics for Women, the National Collegiate Athletics Association, and the Mid-American Conference. Marcy has served in varied roles in her 4+ decades at CMU, including as a volleyball, basketball, and field hockey coach, as the Senior Associate Athletic Director, and finally as the Executive Associate Director of Athletics Sport Administration. Marcy's impact nationally is immeasurable, and she's amassed an incredible list of awards and accolades, both through her work at CMU and as a women's basketball official. She officiated 2 NCAA Women's National Championship games, was named by the NCAA as one of the 9 major contributors to the first decade of women's college basketball, is a member of the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, and in 2008 received the prestigious Gold Whistle Award from the National Association of Sports Officials. The influence that Marcy has had on collegiate athletics and on thousands of student athletes is inestimable and limitless.
You have a standing O behind you. No. Time to join us up here. This is your evening. I don't think she's very happy with me, but, I'm the least of her worries tonight, I think. So, you are in the yellow chair, yes. Good sights all around the room. So, there you go. I'm opposed to the box of tissue, but others wanted it there, so. It is a big deal. She's been here a very long time. We've been very happy she's been here, but she is retiring. But she's not the only person retiring. There's lots of folks that have decided to take that step this year. I don't know if people are aware that the model Gisele Bündchen, whatever, married to Tom Brady, decided to give it up. She's no longer doing fashion modeling. Potential job. Think about it. Jon Stewart's leaving The Daily Show. I'm pretty despondent about that. Harry Reid's leaving the U.S. Senate. Carl Levin, our senator, left the Senate. And David Letterman, who I'm a big fan of. And what is it Letterman does so well, night after night after night? Top 10 list. So, you get a top 10 list. Top 10 reasons you shouldn't be retiring and leaving us. So, well, you saw the video. Some of you have seen the Centralite magazine. Yes, she's a cover girl. And I don't know who else, other than Marcy, who can rock the different eyeglasses you've worn through the years. You pull it off better than most. Number 9 reason. Who is a better student-athlete advocate than Marcy Weston? I don't know, this wouldn't be me, but the number 8 reason. Who can still laugh at having her home toilet papered for the 10th, 20th, 30th time by her players. Now Jay Flood is here tonight, so I think you're safe. I don't think she'll do it tonight, but if you see her leaving early, we'll know what's up. Yeah. Oh, and comments from the audience. This will be great. The number 7 reason. Who else do I know, you may not know this story, can receive an award not once, the same award, but twice, and get a standing ovation for it both times? Marcy was recognized by the Michigan ACE, basically Women in Higher Education Association. She was the Woman of the Year in Michigan higher education. An award that some here on campus, Dr. Amy McGinnis, Dr. Tracy Galarowitz, were determined, because Marcy is more than a coach, an administrator. She is an educator. She is a teacher, and they recognize that. So Marcy's supposed to get this award. She's in Mexico and gets off a plane and says, I don't know, something's going to burst, or I've got to pass something. I got to go to the hospital, and doesn't show up for the award. Her lovely former player, Gina, did a wonderful job of accepting that award. But the next year, Marcy came back and got her second standing ovation. Not bad. Note to self how to do that. Number 6 reason. Who else can serve on a CMU search team for any variety of positions on this campus and think beyond athletics and think about the whole of the university and what it needs, what it requires, and stand by that and articulate that position as beautifully as you always did? The number 5 reason Marcy Weston shouldn't be retiring. Some of us are just tired of wiping the sweat off Dave Hickey's brow when he worries, oh my God, can I do this without her? What am I gonna do without Weston? Oh, Dave, it'll be fine. Yeah. Not to worry, it'll be fine. Yeah. The number 4 reason. Who else but Marcy Weston could take on the Bahamian immigration folks in the airport on Christmas Eve and say, these people have got to get home. We've had a great bowl experience. You're not moving things. We are out of here, folks. They got to get home tonight. It's Christmas Eve. She got us on our planes. We didn't go to Baltimore, Maryland, like some of us were expected to. And we got back to Michigan and we had our luggage. Thank you, Marcy Weston, for that. The number 3 reason. Who else can rock those striped shirts like Marcy Weston? I mean, it's not a look that a lot of us can pull off. I'm not even sure the lovely Giselle could carry that off, but you did a great job. The number 2 reason. Who else do you know who has a nation named after them? Yes, Marcy Nation is here tonight. And a nation? There is nobody else on this campus who has that now or in the future, so nice job. And what's the number 1 reason that Marcy Weston shouldn't be retiring? She is a transformational leader. She has done an incredible job at CMU with everything she has touched. You're not supposed to cry, smile. This is good stuff, good stuff. We thank you. Now with that, I'm going to bend down and then I'm going to do something else. So I'm bending down and now I'm George Ross. So I'm very sorry, but our president is unable to be here tonight. Marcy is well aware. George has been very ill with this flu that sometimes hangs on a little longer than it should. He's very sorry he can't be here. We're just as glad he isn't, because it's that flu that works its way around and nobody here wants it, and if you've had it, you don't want it back. But we are very, very pleased that First Lady Elizabeth Ross could join us this evening. We're glad she could be here. And she loves Marcy, but she also wanted to get out of the house. I mean, let's be honest. He's been sick for a number of days, so she needed a night out. So we're very glad that you could be with us tonight. We also are very pleased Board of Trustee Chair Bill Canine and his wife Carla were able to join us tonight. And our former board chair of the trustees, Sid Smith, and his wife Judy are here tonight. You know, a few words about George. George is the 14th president of Central Michigan University. He has had a long relationship with Marcy, knew her when he was here before as vice president for finance and administrative services. But since he has come back from Elkhorn State, where he served as president, he has been a leader on this campus and seen dramatic changes. Real interest in the STEM fields, real interest in science, technology, engineering, and math, driven as much by our students as by our faculty. We have undertaken the construction of a $95 million bioscience building that if you step onto campus, you'll see it is going to be fabulous. We have also started a College of Medicine, and we are soon to have our third class joining us here on campus. It is a transformational change on this campus, and not just this campus, within the entire Great Lakes Bay region. What that means for providing health care for people in this area really probably can't even be mentioned tonight. We will be training primary care physicians, and where do they want to serve? They want to serve in mid-Michigan, they want to serve in northern Michigan, they want to serve in eastern Michigan. And we are very, very proud of these young people. That wouldn't have happened without the leadership of George Ross. He has over 30 years of experience in higher education, and as I mentioned most recently, he was president at Elkhorn State in Mississippi. We're very glad that he came back. George did have comments that he wanted to make, so pretend I'm really tall, losing my hair, you know, all those things. But I'm not George, you know that, yeah, okay. So, pretend I'm George. Marcy Weston, she's an extraordinary woman. She's provided outstanding leadership and service during her 40-plus year career here at CMU. She's a mentor and she's a leader for women in higher education, and her contributions have had not just local and regional impact, but national impact as well, as many of you already know. With some individuals, it's a little hard to tell if they're retiring or maybe continuing their retirement. That's not you. That is not our Marcy. She has been a tireless contributor to advancing CMU, our students, and the athletics department. Throughout her 43 years with CMU, Marcy's earned a well-deserved reputation for her, now George wrote this, can-do spirit. So whenever there was something to do, she was in the can. Okay, think about that. I know what he was going for, but you know. When Marcy announced her retirement, Dave Hickey stopped by to visit with the president, and he was nothing but complimentary about Marcy, her steady leadership, her strong work ethic. He knew that CMU athletics would probably never be the same without her. But then he also asked for your parking spot. So he's a pragmatic guy, if nothing else. George wants you to know, retirement's not always what it's cracked up to be. You think it is. You never have a day off to look forward to. Every day is a day off. You get to drink coffee on your own time. That Marcy time that you and I know about is all the time. And you have to, you know, kind of buy your own pens. The ones that are stacked up in your desk are no longer there. So, but a few things about Marcy's many accomplishments. When Perry Short Stadium, now Kelly Shorts, opened in 1972, it was the same year that Marcy joined CMU. And the area south of Broomfield, we just had some folks that we took south of Broomfield today, and you really had to recall it was nothing but fields. It is now the athletic complexes of CMU. And Marcy was here to help build and grow our athletic programs. And she's had many other accomplishments besides that. In coaching, Marcy amassed a 419 to 143 to 15 record in 15 years at the helm of the volleyball program. She coached 3 Mid-American Conference Players of the Year, 20 All-MAC student athletes, and 7 academic All-MAC honorees. Marcy's teams hold the program's single-season records for most wins, best winning percentage, and longest winning streak. Not bad, my dear, not bad. As all of you know, Marcy's impact is way beyond coaching, working in Finch Fieldhouse, working in this building. She really has been a mentor, and a model for what she wants our female students, faculty, staff, and coaches to understand about student athletes, women student athletes. And the NCAA recognized Marcy in 1991 as one of 9 major contributors to the first decade of NCAA women's basketball. You're going to miss us, Marcy. I don't know what you're going to do. In 2000, Marcy was inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, and 4 years later, inducted into the CMU Athletics Hall of Fame, which is now named in her honor. And she also served as the national coordinator of NCAA women's basketball officiating from 1986 to 2005, a little something she did in her off time. National Association of Sports Officials honored Marcy in '08 as the first female to earn the Gold Whistle Award, the organization's highest honor. As George says, I can attest that Marcy continually challenges the status quo of the sporting landscape through her officiating, her coaching, her administrative work. She helps raise the standards, but not just for women's sports, for all sports in general. She's positive, she's motivating, she is a valued colleague and a friend. Many people have retired from CMU before Marcy, and many more will go in the future, but only a few have created a legacy. And that's you, to be recognized as an icon. You've joined that elite group, Marcy. Enjoy retirement. Okay, I'll bend down again. Okay, now I'm Kathy Wilbur again. So, and I have the honor of introducing Dave Hickey, who was our Associate Vice President and Athletic Director here at CMU for close to 10 years. During that time, I know, who said, wow, I know, isn't it surprising? You forget. He has been here a long time and done a tremendous job. Dave is really, when he came to campus, I remember that well, he instilled his vision of a championship culture. He talked about it then, talked about it in the years in between, he still talks about it now. A few highlights, and there are so many that we really had to cut it back. It's really Marcy night. Remember, you're sweating bullets. This year alone, the field hockey team, gymnastics team, men's basketball, all claimed MAC championships. And on top of that, 2 coaches of the year, Christy Freeze, Keno Davis. Working with Dave, we're taking the teams and the coaches down to the state capitol this Thursday so they can be honored by the Michigan State Senate and the Michigan House of Representatives. Well deserved. I think Dave may not realize it, but he too has been mentored by Marcy. And I think Marcy has helped him understand that while we love CMU, we love being in Michigan, there is a national platform. And that is also a place that CMU should play. That is also a place that CMU should be visible. So because of that, Dave is contributing to that landscape. He's a member of the NCAA Division I Baseball Committee, the Division I Football Issues Committee, and served as the chair of the Football Committee in 2012 and 13. In June of 2013, Dave was appointed to the Division I Athletic Director Advisory Group, and he's one of just 11 Division I athletic directors nationwide to be selected for the appointment. The athletic success of CMU student athletes really only topped by their academic accomplishments. Again, very much a part of that championship culture that Dave has brought to CMU. The Chippewas, as an example, have earned the MAC's Institutional Achievement Award 10 times in the last 13 years. For that, we thank Dave Hickey and we invite him up to the stage.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Kathy. I always wanted to be as tall as the president, so I thought I'd just use this. Okay, let me bend down and make a move here. Don't let me forget that's behind me. I might fall down. Thank you. Thanks for the kind words. You know, this is a special place, and the reason great things happen here are because of special people. We have a tremendous staff, a tremendous group of coaches, outstanding support, and above all else, great student athletes. And that's why we win championships, and that's what this program stands for and always has stood for. So I appreciate the efforts from all those, and thanks for the kind words. No jokes from me, no old stories. I am sweating bullets. Marcy leaving will be a different world, and so I'm going to stay right inside my lane here and try to do this straight up the alley. On behalf of the Department of Athletics, I do want to welcome all of you tonight to the CMU Event Center. For those of you who have been away for a while, a new place. We're really proud of McGurk Arena and the new Event Center. It's a special night to be in a special place. We're so pleased that all of you could join us to honor Marcy and this great career she's had. But it's much more than a career, in my opinion. It's been a passion, it's been a mission, and I believe it's been a calling. As been shared, Marcy came to us in the early 70s. I was around then, the early 70s. Over 40 years of dedication and service to the university and to our athletics program. Through those years, we've been blessed to have one of the most respected individuals, one of the most respected national leaders here on this campus. And it's been so rewarding to have her here guiding our program. So thank you, Marcy. You know, there's many ways to describe the impact Marcy's had on Central Michigan University and our athletic department. And I'm going to try to stay from the work perspective here and our department perspective. But there's really two things that stand out to me. First, Marcy clearly values everyone. I think the people in this room understand that. Everyone matters to Marcy. She truly lives as a servant. Whether you're the head coach or a graduate assistant, a walk-on or a full scholarship athlete, a student manager or a full-time staff member, you mattered to Marcy. She cared about who you are. She cared about how you were doing. She wanted to help you every day. Nowadays, taking time to learn about other people, care about people around you is really kind of a lost art. But we've been blessed with Marcy's presence, and we've watched her do that every day. And we've learned how to care about people, how to be focused on people. One of the things I've heard from a lot of people is you could be away from Marcy for months, many times years, her student athletes, staff members. But when you came back to Marcy, you were in her presence again, you felt like family. She welcomed you right back in and wanted to know how you were, how you're doing, and how could she help. The engagement and the commitment are some of the reasons why Marcy's been such an important part of this university for such a long time. The other thing that stands out to me is that Marcy's been a champion in everything she's done. We talk about it, and Kathy alluded to it, a championship culture. We use that term glowingly here. But that exists at this university because of people like Marcy Weston. She's championed so many initiatives through her time here. Many of these challenges have not been easy, but she knew that they needed to be done to move the college landscape forward, the college athletics landscape forward. Some of these initiatives included student-athlete welfare, gender equity issues, academic issues, compliance issues, and much, much more. Marcy's also worked hard to make the game of basketball, women's basketball, what it is today, through her days as an official and through her work through the NCAA. You know, folks, much of the game's success today we can trace back to Marcy Weston and her involvement in growing the game of women's basketball. A great sport, one that we're all very passionate about here at Central Michigan, and much of that is due to Marcy's efforts. Thank you, Marcy. Marcy's also a tremendous champion of our student athletes and the life-changing experiences that they can have on our campuses. She believes that they can all do great things, and they each deserve the very best. She's kept us focused on our most important part of our mission, and that's the championship experience for each and every one of our student athletes that wear the maroon and gold. It means so much to her because she values how much it means to each one of them. Marcy's also a champion and mentor for our staff and for our coaches. She's always taking the time to work with those coaches and staff making sure they're reaching their fullest potential. And at the same time, Marcy's always there supporting. In a profession, quite frankly, that's full of potholes, full of very, very difficult challenges that come at you every day. And Marcy's that rock-solid person that stands behind every one of our coaches and staff members. You know, being a champion like Marcy's been a very selfless act. Most times it's meant more work for her, longer hours for her. But she's always done it because it means so much, and it's for that other person. You know, tonight means a great deal to me. I do sweat bullets. I do look with some apprehension to the day that Marcy's not here. Because when I arrived here well over 9 years ago, it was Marcy Weston who welcomed me. It was Marcy Weston who helped me learn about what this university stands for. It was Marcy Weston that's been so instrumental in the success of this department. And Marcy, I've been proud to be your teammate and really a partner in this thing all the way through. So thank you very much. You know, Marcy and I joke, and I'll tell my one story. I did come, you know, well over 9 years ago, almost 10 now, and I remember one of the first meetings Marcy and I had. Was kind of trying to check out the staff, see where we were going to go, and you know, this has been such a great program. Didn't want to screw the thing up. Sat down with Marcy, and I said, so we talked, and she'd shared her views of the program, what she thought we could do, and I said, well, so Marcy, what are you thinking? Are you going to be around for a while? She said, well, I thought I'd give it a couple more years. And I said, ooh, okay. And then, you know, we met again, and I said, well, so Marcy, how you doing? Everything okay? And she said, yeah, I think I'll give it a couple more years. 2 more years. So we did that. It's been 9 years, almost 10 years. And thank goodness she did that. She kept saying 2 more years. So Marcy, one more time I'll ask you. Can you give me 2 more years? All right, nope, she deserves, we're in a great place, and I appreciate all those 2-year increments. It made us a better thing. A couple things I'd like to share tonight in a way that we want to honor Marcy. First, with Marcy's blessing, we're proud to add her name to the Pioneers in Women's Athletics Endowment here at CMU. Along with Fran Koenig and Jane McNamara, Marcy's name will now go with that on that endowment. We're so very pleased to have that. You know, the dollars generated from this endowment support our women's athletics programs for those above and beyond efforts, those key things that help advance our programs and specifically serve our student athletes. So there's some information on your tables too. If you're interested in learning more about that endowment, we're really excited about it. And again, the chance to honor Marcy and also help student athletes with that endowment, we're really excited about putting your name to that. So glad to have you on board with that, Marcy. Thank you very much. Secondly, on behalf of our current athletic department, we'd like to present you with a gift. And our nearly 100 employees want to give you this special gift. So next to you, you have a wrapped basket that I'll give a little bit of an info of what's on there. You can, you know, if you feel like it's Christmas again and you just want to rip it open, you can do that. But what we put in there for you is a beautiful Waterford crystal vase to remember your time here. Along with that, a memory book. Sure, go right ahead. It's your night. You can do whatever you want. Nobody's going to tell you no tonight. So we've also put a memory book in there from our staff and for your time here. And then on top of that, we have a special gift. There's some information in there about the Napa Valley wine country. Marcy likes a nice glass of wine now and then. She wants this thing to move along so she can maybe have a glass of wine. But we want to provide you with a trip for 2 to the San Francisco Bay Area, flights, accommodations, and then also a tour of 3 wineries in Napa Valley. So, and enjoy a few fine, you know, glasses of wine, and don't worry about anything that's going on here in Michigan. Okay, great. Thank you. Well, great, Marcy. Thank you. So, Marcy, on behalf of the thousands, literally thousands of student athletes that you've touched, the hundreds of staff members that you've impacted, we thank you. We'll miss working with you every day. We truly will. What you've done, how you served, the wisdom you've shared, and the impact you've made will forever be part of Chippewa Athletics. It'll be a part of our foundation. You know, we often part from these kind of events with some kind words and a few memories, but not tonight. You know, tonight it's much more than that. As Kathy mentioned, Marcy, tonight we leave here with your legacy. You leave a legacy for us, and we celebrate that. People will talk about you and this program forever. I think that's a wonderful tribute to someone who's dedicated so much to Chippewa athletics and the people in this room. You've provided an incredible example for all of us in this profession and every person you've worked with on how to emulate a person. And for that, we thank you very much. Congratulations. Enjoy the night, Marcy. All right, thank you very much. Now back to Kathy.
Well, he does follow orders well. I like that. Yeah, you've, again, trained him beautifully, beautifully. And I think you're what? Up to your second standing O tonight? It was pretty good. It's pretty good. Let's keep it going. We have another speaker tonight, Marie Tewitt, who is a very good friend of Marcy Weston's, and there is a lot of information here, and I really do want to share it. And when we've shared some of that, I'll tell you why. Marie is a major college athletics leader and administrator whose professional career includes executive positions in the Mountain West Conference, the Pacific 12 Conference, and the NCAA National Office. And she's currently the Deputy Director of Athletics and Chief Operating Officer at San Jose State University. She directly supervises the sports of football, men's and women's basketball, and women's golf. In the spring of 2012, Tewitt also served as the interim athletic director. She had spent 14 years as Senior Associate Athletic Director for Sports Programs at the University of Washington. She served as Washington's Senior Woman Administrator. During her 14 years at Washington, the Huskies experienced unprecedented success in the programs under her direction. Tewitt has served on several NCAA committees, including the Division I Championships Cabinet and the Division I Women's Basketball Committees. You need to know that. Why? Because she's another example of someone who was mentored and encouraged by Marcy Weston. Someone who built her career based on someone like Marcy who said, you can do it, you should do it. She is a graduate of CMU, we're very proud to say. She also lettered for the Chippewas in both basketball and field hockey. In 1981, she earned a Master of Arts degree in athletic administration right here at CMU. And she was inducted into the Central Michigan University Hall of Fame in 1990. In 2008, Tewitt was celebrated by her alma mater as an All-Finch Fieldhouse honoree, which acknowledged the top 35 student athletes to compete in Finch Fieldhouse. Marie, join us up here on the stand.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I think it's always such a special treat to come back and visit your alma mater. Since I moved to the West Coast, I actually haven't had a chance to spend much time on campus. It's a little ironic because I was actually on campus just a few months ago in February speaking, and I just want to tell you that today it was about 64 degrees warmer than it was when I was here in February. And it is so great to see so many of you and so many faces, and I know Marcy feels the way I do, and just thanking you for coming out tonight to celebrate. Before I talk a little bit about Marcy, though, I have to tell you two stories about two very important guests that are in the audience. The first one has to do with Coach Parfit, and I'm not sure where Coach is sitting, but okay, Coach Parfit. Now, Coach Parfit was the men's basketball coach when I was a student athlete here, and a number of his players were friends of mine, and went to a lot of the men's games and just really admired Coach Parfit from afar and was always very nervous when I was around him. Well, I graduate from here, and I'm fortunate enough to get a teaching job at Fancher Elementary School, and Kelly Eldred is a famous alum from Fancher Elementary School. Yeah. I'm also coaching over at Mount Pleasant High School, where Coach G. Murray is here tonight, and also where a dear mentor for me was Joe Eppel, and Mrs. Eppel is here, and Helen is here tonight. So anyhow, a few years out, and Central is having a golf outing out at Riverwood Resort, and I decide that I'm going to play, and I actually get placed in a foursome with Coach Parfit. So first of all, I'm very nervous. Secondly, I'm representing all of womanhood. You know, I'm the only woman in the foursome. I'm praying that I don't whiff, you know, during the 18 holes. So I'm playing actually pretty well, and I hit a ball, and it ends up, you know, about 3 yards behind this tree, this big tree. They call it River Woods for a reason. There's a river and there's woods, okay. So I'm trying to figure out what to do, and I look over at Coach Parfit, and he says to me, Marie, when I was your age, I went up and over that tree. Come on, you're a Chippewa, bring your A game. I go, okay. So I take out a pitching wedge, and I hit the ball as well as you can hit it. The ball hits the middle of the tree, and it ends up 20 yards behind me. So I look at Coach Parfit, and Coach Parfit says to me, Marie, when I was your age, that tree was that tall. Yes. And off he drove in his golf cart, leaving me there. My second story has to do with Coach Kylitz, just someone that I have admired so many years, and Coach and I actually had a chance to work together when I was at the NCAA at Washington. He was the executive director of the American Baseball Coaches Association. So I'm at my Hall of Fame induction dinner, and Coach Kylitz is there with his beautiful wife, Sue, Mrs. Kylitz, and they've been married forever and ever and ever, and congratulations on that. So as we're sitting there through dinner, and by the way, my Hall of Fame induction, one of the apex moments of my life, and actually Coach Parfit was in my induction class. So we're sitting there at dinner, and I noticed through dinner that Mrs. Kylitz is referring to Coach Kylitz. She's calling him honey or sweetie or dear, and after all these years of marriage. And so Coach Kylitz gets up to work the room, and those of us that are in fundraising, that's code for, you know, to use the restroom. So he gets up to work the room, and I turn to Mrs. Kylitz and I say, oh my gosh, after all these years of marriage, you are still calling your husband the most endearing names. And Mrs. Kylitz looked at me and she said, Marie, 3 years ago, I forgot his name. Okay, now, our honored guest, and I need to tell you, I've done some hard things in my life, but standing up here and talking about Marcy, just know there's a lot of emotion going on up here, and for the next 10 minutes, 12 minutes, I am going to be pushing my tough guy and my tough gal button to sort of get through my remarks. But it was so important for me to come back to visit campus, and more importantly, to tell you about this wonderful, incredible woman that we all feel so strongly about. So a few weeks ago, I had a chance to spend a couple days with Marcy, and I asked her, I said, okay, Marcy, I'm going to be, talking about you. Is there something in particular you would like me to say? She said, well, there's two things I don't want you to do. She goes, the first thing I don't want you to do is to stand up there and list all of my accomplishments. Okay, well, that has been done, and certainly that could take all night. And she said, the second thing is I don't want you to roast me. And I kind of looked at her, and I said, a little? And I said, I can't tell the audience about that wonderful retirement story that Andy, I think his last name is Stedden, wrote about Marcy. And if you have not had a chance to read it, please go on CMU website and read it. It's an excellent story. But in the story, Marcy talks about in the retirement, she wants to take a 6-week driving trip across America. Now, from the time Marcy turned 16 and got her driver's license until even today, she has never driven 1 mile over the speed limit, ever, okay? It is questionable whether she even drives the speed limit. So a 6-week driving trip. Well, so I'm in the car with her a couple weeks ago, and, you know, cars are zooming by us, and I go, Marcy, speed up. I go, good gosh, does it take you 90 minutes to watch 60 minutes? Let's go, get going here. Well, I'm just telling you, that 6-week driving trip is going to take about 6 months. And then she may only be in San Jose. It's going to take another 6 months back. You won't see her for at least 1 year. I'm telling you that. Okay, and I'm not even touching that whole thing in that article about wanting to do art. I'm not going there. I promise you, no roast. Okay, so I said, all right, okay, you've been no help so far. Let me try another angle here. I said, tell me a word that describes your last 42 years at Central. And she thought for a minute, and no surprise, she said relationships. Now, for 42 years, Marcy has guided and mentored, directed, transformed, supported, and simply made impactful differences in the relationships she has developed. And as Dave said, it didn't matter your gender, it didn't matter your age, it didn't matter what sport you played, it didn't matter what sport you coached. It didn't matter if you were a Division III official or if you were a Final Four official. She cared about you, and it was important to her to get to know you. She says hello first to everyone, even if she's in a dark alley, and try to get through a hotel lobby with her. If you are at a convention or if you're at the Final Four, it is like being with Elvis. You cannot get through. Yes. Right. And look at people who know this. They're going, yep. Okay. And since I feel I'm representing all of the relationships she has fostered, I asked a number of you to tell me how you were inspired and impacted by Marcy. Now, many of you submitted comments, and I can't read all of them. We'll be here all night. But there was 5 or 6 of them that I thought were really important to me, and I want to share them with you. First, Joanne Hoskins, 1986 graduate, a 1994 Hall of Famer, just a terrific, terrific athlete. I credit Marcy for never giving up on me. I would have never made it through Central had she not believed in me. After being dematriculated my freshman year, and after all and everything I went through, I was inducted into Central's Hall of Fame. That would never have happened without Marcy. Pretty powerful. Terry, yeah. Okay, you're going to have to hold your applause here because let me tell you, there's some good ones in here. Terry Fillion, Duluth, who's here tonight. I haven't had a chance to say hello to her. Oh my gosh, there she is. You talk about a terrific athlete. Whew! She was so great. 1984 graduate, Hall of Fame inductee in 2001. Marcy is a role model beyond all others. She even influenced my daughter while she was playing volleyball at Central. 2 generations to play volleyball at Central. And by the way, Terry picked the Chippewas over the Michigan Wolverines. Very few days go by when I don't think how fortunate I was to have played for Marcy and what an awesome person she is to me today. My life is better because of her. I would have never met my husband or had my beautiful children if it wasn't for Marcy's belief in me. Pretty powerful. Bob Trammell, great basketball officials here tonight. Now, Bob actually officiated Central's first game of the year against South Carolina. Bob, it was not Marcy in the stands yelling, "I've seen better officials at the Foot Locker store." That was not Marcy. I am grateful for her leadership, personal guidance, and friendship throughout the past 35 years. She was the perfect role model for up-and-coming basketball officials. Her empathy and compassion whenever I was in need of a shoulder to lean on helped see me through times of self-doubt. I will be forever grateful for her faith in me. Sue Guevara, current women's basketball coach. Dave, good job wrapping Sue up for 5 years. She's a gem. Congratulations, Sue. Okay, here are Sue's, and Sue is very, very close to Marcy. Here are Sue's very emotional words. Marcy, what the hell are you thinking? I can't coach without you. True story. Sue also said some really other nice things, but the thing she closed with is, Marcy is a coach's administrator, and I love that line. Carol Messenger here tonight. As a shy 18-year-old farm girl who came to Central, Marcy showed me what a strong, independent, caring, hardworking, career-minded woman could be. Why, I am so honored to know her and have played for her. I'm even more honored to know she is my friend. Linda Nash, a great point guard, played for us. Yep. As a collegiate head basketball coach, approaching my 20th year of coaching, I have tried to model what I think is Marcy's greatest attribute, making people feel special. What separates Marcy from others is her genuine care for others. Jay Flood, here tonight, the famous Jay Flood. 1970, besides my parents, Marcy Weston was the single most important person in my life. Marcy shaped not only my professional career, but made me a better, more responsible person. I'm not sure, was that before or after you did the teeping that you became responsible? The leadership, support, and compassion Marcy so relentlessly gave to me and all of her student athletes and colleagues are evident in CMU, Marcy Nation. At this end of an era, I say bravo, my friend. I'm almost done here. Gina Mazzolini, 1978 graduate, Hall of Fame, 1992. Just another terrific. Gina was sort of the first person that you could really tell that Title IX was working. She came to Central and was just exceptional. She says, Marcy is the most organized person I've ever met. She was fashionable, professional, not only a pioneer, but a pathfinder. You loved Marcy because she loved you. Boy, that was true. Jerry Rygard, the current women's gymnastics coach. I didn't get a chance to see Coach, but I just want to say one thing about him. If he wanted to be, he could be the head coach at University of Georgia, Arizona State, University of California, Berkeley. He could be the head coach at Utah in a couple months if he wanted to be. He is a Chippewa coaching a terrific program. Yes. Dave, raise, needs a raise. Okay. Gymnastics is the only sport that Marcy has administered for her entire career here at CMU. She made learning gymnastics a priority. I think she got up on the balance beam once, I heard, which gives us a bond and understanding that few administrators and coaches will ever have. We are all going to miss her. Pam Stanley, class of 1992, Hall of Fame induction. Now, there are a lot of people in here who have had a lot of awards. 2 weeks ago, this terrific, terrific athlete had her number retired at Central Michigan University. When I came to Central as a freshman, I felt lost. And Marcy was so warm and welcoming. Marcy made me feel like Central was home. And boy, what a home it became for you, Pam. I was amazed at her ability to remember everyone's name, her genuine interest in wanting to know more about you. And there are so many, many more comments. Deb Hunt wrote a great poem. Marcy Weston touched us all, whether we were great or we were small. Melissa McFarland, women's basketball coach at Memphis. I don't make a move without Marcy. Amy Backus, former Yale basketball coach, current athletics director at Case Western. Marcy gave me the confidence to be successful. Wow, powerful. And I could go on and on. Now, there's one person who wasn't able to provide a few comments, and that's Fran Koenig. Oh, my gosh. Fran loved Marcy. She loved Marcy. Fran's passing on Friday, October 13th, 2000, was devastating for most of us. She passed the weekend of the CMU Letter Winner event, an event where women who competed at Central prior to 1984 were invited back to campus to receive their varsity letter. A touch point moment in the lives of so many, and the last time many of us were together on this campus. Fran spent the last few hours of her life meeting with the Masters of Ceremony for the Letter Winner event to make sure the MC pronounced our names correctly. Now, I found this a little ironic. My last name is Tuitt. My entire freshman year, and Fran was my basketball coach, she called me Marie Tootie. Yeah, that is a true story. First, no, actually, I started off Marie Twit. Yeah. Then I went to Tweety, and then I went to Tootie, and then Diane Stout, great basketball player, senior. She says to Fran, the last name is to it, Fran. I think Fran just gave up, you know. She just would call me Marie. Fran, it's true. See, it's true. All my stories are. Yes. Fran, she left the office. She walked into her home. She fell over and she was gone. And Marcy carried the weekend for those of us that were hurting by the loss of Fran. Fran would have said, during my entire career, Marcy was my closest colleague. I turned to her and she turned into me. And although Fran was Marcy's mentor, Fran shared an equal bond in working feverishly for equality for women's athletics. Fran would say, I'm honored to share the endowment with my colleague and my dear, dear friend Marcy. Many of us in this room would not be where we are today without Fran. A toast to Fran Koenig, please. Yes. Finally, Marcy and I have been lifelong friends and colleagues. I don't call her my oldest friend. She doesn't like that. I call her the one I've known the longest. And as a young professional in the mid-'70s, I was just starting to navigate this wonderful and wacky profession called athletics. In the 70s, Title IX was creating great excitement and angst, and we found in the 70s that the presidents and decision makers really sort of dismissed Title IX. In the 80s, some athletic directors and presidents began to tolerate women in sport. And in the 90s, many started to accept that we weren't going anywhere. The Olympics were proving that to be true. That women student athletes were exceptional students, terrific athletes, and extraordinary citizens. We proved that if you build it, they will come. And finally, around the new millennium, we started to embrace women in sport. There's never been a better time than today to be a female student athlete, and yet we still have work to do. Don't ever underestimate the impact Marcy has had on the evolution of gender equity. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't popular to carry the gender equity flag. It still isn't. And yet that responsibility rested with women like Marcy. She loved us when it wasn't necessarily cool to love us. And she loved us when there wasn't any money in it. As Deb Hunt said in her awesome poem, for women's equality she did fight, changing policies with all her might. Marcy was there each important step, holding steadfast to her unwavering belief that sport is valuable regardless of your gender, that sport is vital and worthy for our boys and for our girls. Clap. She taught me that even though athletic is a business, and it's true, we have to generate revenue to open our doors, this terrific enterprise is under the umbrella of higher education, and that the word student athlete is hyphened. It's one word, hyphened appropriately. Our daily goal is to adhere to the missions of the great universities we serve, even if it places us at a competitive disadvantage. That if something is important to coaches, it needs to be important to administrators. And something I have never forgotten is Marcy told me, Marie, some student athletes simply need more help than others. My favorite professional calls begin with, Marie, have you ever experienced, and then she would tell me a story. Or, have you ever dealt with, and she would tell me a story. And let me tell you, over the past 42 years, she has dealt with some doozies. Actually, I think a couple of them might involve some of you in here. Jay, I'm just saying. A good number of us in this room would never have achieved most of our accomplishments without asking ourselves, WWMD, what would Marcy do? We carry ourselves with our shoulders back and our heads up because you believed in us, giving us strength to believe in ourselves. Personally, my entire life, she's been my first call. She has helped me navigate the incredible ups and the heartbreaking downs of my life. When my two sons were born, she was my first call. And in 2012, when my two younger brothers painfully passed away within 4 months of each other, she was my first call. Each of us are defined by the experiences that bond us to Marcy, and for the last 42 years, you have carried yourself with class and grace and humility and an unwavering standard of integrity and honesty. You have wrapped a string of lights around my heart and the hearts of others that will shine forever. On behalf of the countless people you have touched, saying thank you hardly seems enough. Thank you, Marcy. We celebrate you. We love you. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks, and you're done. As I was putting together my remarks, and anybody who's ever been around me when I like to talk, as most of you know, and I really like to speak publicly. I've always enjoyed it, but this one is a little bit different. In fact, it's gigantically different. Marie's comments, thank you, Marie. I love you. I'm very, very proud of you as a 17-year-old, 18, I guess, when I knew you, who didn't know which end was up. You got them all going in the right direction, my dear, all going in the right direction. I want to say thank you, Dave. It's been a joy working with you. Your remarks were very dear to my heart. I'm going to miss everybody because I love people, you know that. My 2 more years kept going on and on and on because I love the people I work with, the people that touch me, and the people that I've met at this university. And to see the list on Friday afternoon that Marcy Ottoman sent me, I was really pretty shocked. When I do have to tell one story on, I don't know if it's on Christy or on Dave, but I'll put you both in it. It was probably in the fall, and I told Dave I was actually going to retire. And he did the 1 more year thing, and I said, no, this is it for sure, no more years. Because I want to leave while I still love everything, and most people still like me, and I haven't screwed up bad, or nobody knows about it yet, so I need to be done. And Christy walked in, because we hired Christy to take the senior woman administrator position, an exceptional choice. Christy's a great coach and a great administrator. And I said to Dave, I probably told Dave, I said, Dave, if you're going to hire an internal candidate, the best person you can hire is Christy Freeze, and she's probably better than many external candidates you could have found as well. But Christy came in and she goes, I have to come in and ask you something. I go, what? She said, well, we've been meeting for about 3 or 4 weeks on putting together an event for you, some sort of an event. I said, well, just make it kind of cozy and comfy, and like something in Parfit Gym would be nice. After Coach Parf, I said, that would be great. And she said, well, that really isn't what I want to talk to you about. It's not up to you what we're doing. I go, okay. She said, but we've been meeting for 3 weeks and everybody's talking about a date when we should have this. And they came up with Monday, April 27th. And they're still meeting for a few more weeks. And Dave goes to Christy, is Marcy available on the 27th? She will be retired. And they all looked at each other and go, I don't know. So Christy goes, what do you do on April 27th? I go, what do you got going? And she said, well, we want to have a get-together. I go, I'll be available. I'll exit off on my calendar. I'm retiring. So I exit off. But how many of you have been in things where you plan and plan and plan, and you really don't get the vital information till it's almost too late to get it? But we got it together, and this is one heck of a party. It's awesome. It's so awesome to see everybody in this room that has touched my life. Literally, everybody in this room I have worked with at some point in time. Some of you for as recent as a month or two, like newly hired assistant coaches and young staff. But you're in a great place. It's a great place to be with great leadership. Elizabeth, you can tell Dr. Ross that Kathy, way shorter than he, did a very nice job of delivering his message, so thank him for me. Kathy Wilbur, Dave, Marcy Ottoman, I could never do your job with people changing things every moment. Bob Heller, you're relentless. Craig Willey, you people in development are unbelievable. Christy, thank you. You can actually get on with the rest of your job now because this one's over. Prepping this, she was the in-house person. My sincere thank you. I'm really pretty overwhelmed by the magnitude of all of this, and I really don't get overwhelmed very easily. I've been through a lot of things in my life. Some are really fun and some haven't been so swell. But with the right people supporting you, you can pretty much get through anything. I tell all of when we hire people now, one of my questions for interviewees is, who is your circle of friends that you could call when it's upside down? Because you can't go to the person in the next office because they might be part of the problem. You have to have somebody to go to that you can call, and it's a safe call. And they can tell you, what in God's name are you thinking of? That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Marie's told me that. And I've told her the same thing when she's called me. But then you work through it. You have to have those people. Anybody who succeeds, any administrator, any parent has to call another parent when it's your first kid. How do I do this? And the second and third kid, oh, they'll be fine. But you gotta get through the first one. So you need that circle of friends. And everybody in this room who has achieved tremendous levels of success has that group. If you don't have it and it's not big enough, make it bigger, because you're gonna have to network out in order to make it. 42 and a half years. My first 17 were the love of my life because I was working with student athletes directly. I coached because I like to work with young athletes. That's why I coached. When it was good, when it was bad, we lost a lot before we won. Everybody knows sometimes you win a loss and then you lose, and you got to keep coming back. But what I want right now is every one of my athletes that I coached who was in this room, please stand up. Now stay standing. I want other CMU student athletes in this room who've played sports here, stand up. Men and women. I thank all of you. Marie mentioned Title IX. I've been proud of the things that Fran Koenig started. I get a lot of credit for doing things because I'm the one you remember the most, because I'm the one still here. Fran Koenig did a tremendous amount when it was totally unpopular. We did more for women's sports at this institution under the direction of Ted Colheed. God love him, when he didn't really know what he was doing with women's sports, because Fran Koenig helped him through that. Dave Keilitz, who hired me, because he said I hadn't messed up in 17 years, why wouldn't he hire me? And I said, thank you, Dave, and I hope I don't mess up again. He said it much nicer than that. But sometimes people come in for a one-day interview and knock it over. And Dave said, you've been here for 17 years. You stayed in your budget. You've won more than you lost. You treated people well. Why wouldn't I hire you? And I go, I don't know, I hope you will. And he did. Herb Dramedy was the football coach, got into administration. Herb and I were a great team. I don't know if he actually knew what he was getting into, taking on more than football, because we all know players listen to you. Coaches don't. Coaches do not listen to administrators. We think they do, but they really don't. I'm looking at you coaches in the room, my coaches, that I stayed here all these years to work with. You don't listen to what we tell you to do, you listen to what we have conversations about. And I think that's the most important, because telling anybody who's an adult to do something usually meets with, oh, here they go again, rather than having a conversation. And the trick is, the goal is, sometimes it is a trick, when someone leaves your office or leaves a cup of coffee, to have taken part of what you maybe have suggested and then done more with it with what they're capable of doing. Because coaches will say they're going to do things, and I'm thinking, there's no way I would ever do that. But I go, that sounds like a really good idea, and you could sell it. You can do it. I could never do it that way, but I'm not you. You're the one in the gym every day, you're one on the field every day, you're on the court every day, and you got to make it work. So that's what I think working with anybody is all about. The 18 to 22-year-old young women I worked with for years as a head-to-head straight coach is one thing. But I view my life now as, in the last 25 years, the second half of my career. That's not really half. My math is not as good as a lot of other things. Whatever that last 60% is working with adults, coaching coaches, coaching staff, giving people ideas. And they don't listen either. But that's okay, because they have to do their job the way it works for them. And it's our goal, it's our job as an administrator to help them figure out the best way to get the task done. Working with people on campus, so many of you in this room that I've sat in your offices, we've dealt with hard things. And I'm still a believer in sitting in somebody's office and not just sending them an email. I can send emails at midnight, many of you know that. I got smarter the last 2 years. I write them at midnight, draft them, and then I send them at 6 in the morning, and you think I'm up working. Because I engage too many people 11 o'clock at night, so then it's 1 o'clock in the morning. It's not a good thing. So it just took me, though, a whole bunch of years to figure that part out. But those of you in the room that I've worked with, thank you for making my life better. Because I think we're all better because of the people we work with and the people we know, not necessarily the jobs we do. They help us do the job better. They help us do the job better. There have been many, many accounts of things I've done in my career, et cetera, et cetera. And I've been fortunate to have good people around me and made more good decisions than bad ones. There have been some bad ones, but nobody talked about those, so thank you all very much. I've been here for 2/3 of my life. It's a long time. A lot of people think you're in one place because you can't get another job. And, there may be people that think that. I've had a few opportunities, but when I looked at the body of it all, the people I work with here, my family's in the state, people I care about are in the state, bigger is not better. It is not better. I say that all the time. More is not better. Less can be best. I can go home every single day for 42 and a half years and look in the mirror and know I didn't cheat, I didn't lie, I didn't compromise my ethics, and nobody asked me to. A lot of people I know can't do that. But, that's not just because of me. It's the people we surround ourselves with. I mean, when every AD for the last however many years does the back-to-school comment on compliance and following the rules, people always go, you guys really do follow the rules here, don't you? I go, we do, because we all buy in. The AD says it. We've got about 4 or 5 people here that did compliance early in their career. Compliance. Everybody hates compliance. But when you're compliant, your life is way better than when you're not. It's just way better. We're one of the 14 schools in the country that's never had a major violation, and we're going to keep it that way. And that's not about me. That is about every single person in this room that has been here and is here now, whether it's admissions, financial aid, it's all of us. It's not just athletics. Dave, as our current leader, sets the stage. And if we're smart, we follow him. And we are all pretty smart. At least we like to tell people we are. So we have to act like we are, and we have to do it the right way. Marie talked about Fran Caney a little bit. I came to Central Michigan because of Fran Caney. She was a top basketball official and a basketball clinician. And it's really quite interesting when you talk about my volleyball career. I was the worst volleyball player in America. as a young person. I was awful. I was on our college team just because they needed somebody else, and I was kind of tall in the 60s, actually. I was a center on our basketball team, me, the center. I couldn't jump at all, but I could box out to beat anybody. So they all followed me, and Coach Parfit, I could shoot free throws. So, you know, you're going to win a lot of games. Coach G, Coach Davis, can shoot free throws, you got a shot. We're not even going into that story with either one of you. Coach Merchant, hang in there. But we are here, I am here because of Fran Koenig and Tom Jones. I'm not going to mention specific. Tom Jones is in the room tonight, who was the director of Campus Rec forever, and many of you will find this comical. One of the reasons I took this job here is because Tom Jones gave me a day-and-a-half tour of campus. God only knows what we looked at for a day and a half when the campus was as only half of what it is right now. But Tom Jones, with his ties that were 7 inches wide with everything under America on it, took me for a tour of campus. Stan Shingles, he was your mentor too, I know that. God love both of you. But Tom, it's only fitting Tom's here today because I started my career visiting here with Tom, and Tom's here tonight. So Tom, he tried to hire me in Campus Rec many times, and thank you for the ask, but I loved being where I am very much. But Fran did it before the NCAA. You know, Anuka Brown is here, Vice President of the NCAA for women's basketball. Thank you for coming, Anuka. I totally appreciate you being here. You know, I refereed for Anuka when she played basketball at Northwestern and called a few fouls on her, and she still says that she likes me because you did way more than I called on you, Anuka. But she was a heck of a player. She's got great children who are great athletes, and you'll do us well at the NCAA office. But back in the day with Fran, there was no, the NCAA didn't want to have anything to do with women. There was no money in it. Nobody was coming to watch them play. Nobody cared. And then when AIW finally couldn't do it anymore, the NCAA saw some rays of light and said, let's take women's sports on and put some money into it. And you know, when you make a commitment, you can do just about anything for anybody with the right people, some funding, and the strength to deal with adversarial situations and make it work. And so Fran got that started for me. And so when people say thank you to me, I go, thank you, and we have to thank Fran Koenig as well, because we were the first school in the state of Michigan to give full scholarships for women before Michigan and Michigan State. And so that says a lot for TED at the time, because we were separate departments, for our presidents at the time, for our upper level administration, to the board of trustees. It says a lot because you can't make those decisions on your own. They have to be made with support, financial and people support, and a belief that you can actually get it done. You can actually get it done. I stayed at Central Michigan a very long time because of the people. I will leave Central Michigan and stay in touch with the people. I'm not moving. You won't see me all the time, but you'll see me some. I will be around. This is my home. You know, maybe February I could be somewhere else, but you know, the rest of the time I really love it here. My mom always told me, God love her, she lived to be 95 and spent her last 10 years in Mount Pleasant, which was great because I got to see her every single day. She always said, treat others like you want to be treated. Give credit to those that make you look good. Treat the people below you really good because they can be your boss someday, and many in this room that has happened to. So treat everybody with respect. Face the tough jobs the way you do the really fun ones. Say please way more than you say thank you way more than you say please, but use both of them. It's a nice package. I want to say thank you to my brother Bill and my sister-in-law Wanda, who are here. My baby brother Bill, who I used to be able to beat up till he got to be about 8, and then that was all over. But that's good, Bill. We'll save that till later. I want to thank Kathy and her family who've supported me for the last 25 years. Thank you all for being here. To everybody in this room, you've all played a role in my life. I would not have been as successful without you as a shoulder to lean on and a calm voice to listen to when things were not going so well. We go through life with family, with coworkers, and believe we're shaped really by the people around us. And if I have impacted you, thank you very much, but you have impacted me tremendously. Thank you for that. All of you in this room and so many others made a 27-year-old kid, that would have been me in the very past tense, come to Central Michigan and want to stay here. And I'm glad every minute that I've done that. Thank you for making my life better. My mom always used to say to my brother, sister, and I, when we left the house, don't say goodbye, say see you later, and I will. Good night. Thank you.
It's fine. Where have we got to be? Where have we got to be? You're fine. You're fine. Oh, she's thought of something else.
One more thing. I did not say thank you to our wonderful staff for that great California winery tour. I am going to, every swallow will be a toast to all of you. Thank you.
3 standing ovations in one night. Not bad. Not bad. What an evening. Thank you. I think you all got into the spirit of having a great time with Marcy. That's what we wanted. We wanted it to be memorable. We think it was. I do have one thing to do because she would want me to do it. We have to recognize 3 people who put all of this together. One, you mentioned Christy Fries, who has decided to become a wedding planner. And, you know, she's foregoing all this other stuff. It was a blast figuring out who should sit at what table. Marcy Ottoman, who I think is not going to be a wedding planner after doing this, and Craig Willie. Where is Craig? Right there. Fantastic team. They told the rest of us, don't worry about it. We got it. It's good. Dave Hickey sweat a few bullets, but, you know, we like to see him do that. So, and he did sweat a lot. I've got a great vantage point. You couldn't see him. And the best part was I think every woman that came up here told him some stuff he has to do. So we do want Marcy to be in touch with Dave. Like you said, you're not saying goodbye. It's more of a see ya. And so with that, folks, see you later. Pay attention to these cards on your tables. If you want to make a gift to the endowment, we would love to have that happen. Thank you. Appreciate you all being here tonight.